Cocaine is the devil, to be fair.
This is a story of drugs and booze and addiction.
I think with addiction, the end result for anybody is death, prison or institution.
Generally, seriously, one slip would kill me because I'd feel like there'd be no going back.
It's the story of the toxic cycle that links mental health and drug abuse.
To me, it's a means to an end, getting my brain where it needs to be, peaceful and undisturbed by all sorts of trouble and schizophrenia.
But as alcohol and drug deaths soar, this is also a story of hope, that the torment of addiction can be overcome.
I simply hope that people who have been treated rather like lepers are now on a journey which treats them as people with a health condition, and that they have hope that it can be better.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hi. Good to meet you.
Hey, we better do this.
Yes, we've got a had.
Tony.
Tony and you.
Jeremy.
Pleased to meet
Good to meet you at last, mate.
It's April 2021, and I'm in Birkenhead meeting Tony. COVID rules apply.
We've still got our masks on, mate. We're still doing
Yeah,
it.
we are still wearing a mask.
With a bit of luck, we're getting to the end of this, though.
Slowly.
Tony's a keen musician, a talented photographer, a science geek.
I look at the Feynman diagram, the arrow is going back in time. Why is that?
And a heroin addict. He's been on it for more than 3 decades.
How have you been?
Up and down. I've been using too much heroin.
Have you?
I'd left it home for a couple of weeks before I saw you, and I can do that again. It's just I've let myself down, you know.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Tony and I seem to have hit it off, and that's good news, because for the next year or so, I'll be seeing a lot of him.
When we're finished with this, what would you like people to understand about you, folks like you, that we don't get at the minute?
Just that we feel love and hate like everybody else, and we're just people, just like everybody else, and you know, we're human beings. And most drug addicts have a reason that they're addicted.
Hello.
Mike.
Yes.
Jeremy. Didn't recognise you with your mask on, mate.
Across town, another encounter, another story.
Come on, we'll have a seat.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is Mike.
You look younger in person
Yeah.
than on the... my God, I almost look like your granddad.
Yeah, I am.
Now, we've spoken before on Zoom, so I already know that he's got his troubles. But now, it's time for a brew.
Oh, thanks so much, that's brilliant. Cheers, lovely.
Time for some more detail.
When I used to have a drink, cocaine used to come hand in hand. So I'd have a sip of a pint, and then we wanted to, get a bag.
The Mike I'm meeting today is a different person. He's managed to get off the booze and the drugs. Deaths associated with cocaine have increased by 5-fold since 2010. And many of the victims are young men, like Mike.
Madness, but I was just destroying people that loved me and cared for me as well, but I was also destroying myself in the process, and I needed to make a change.
As with Tony, I'm going to be seeing a lot of Mike. He's invited me to follow his progress as he works to rebuild his life. I think he knows it's going to be tough, but I also get the sense that he's determined to become a better person, a better partner, a better son, and a better dad.
When I'd had a drink, I just turned into this person that people didn't want to be around, didn't want to associate with.
Aggressive?
Yeah, aggressive, nasty, narcissistic as well, I would really say.
Violent?
Violent, yeah, definitely. That's a real dark moment for me, and a real moment that I don't ever want to sit in again.
I'm meeting Mike at Nightingale's Cafe, a great place for a coffee and a bite. But as we'll be finding out, for hundreds of people like Mike, it's way more important than that. This place has helped turn his life round, and there's no going back.
If you did have a slip, would one slip be a catastrophe, or do you think...
Yeah, one slip would kill me. Seriously, one slip would kill me, because I'd feel like there'd be no going back. Broken promises again.
To me, that's scary because you're setting your own bar so high, you'd be incredibly tough on yourself.
Yeah, I need to be. You need to be disciplined, and if I'm not disciplined, I'll fall.
But there's nothing wrong with it except for the C-sharp key, which I'm going to replace now.
Tony's invited me round to his flat. He's busy, and I've been roped in to help.
Put it on that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then just lengthways.
His music keyboards need fixing.
I can't sell this because of the plug, you see.
I want to find out what's at the root of Tony's problems. He's 58 now, but it all started when he was a teenager. His mum and dad both died.
Things happen like bereavements of your parents or your mates when you're a teenager. That can send you into schizophrenia, and that's what happened to me.
Does this help you?
Oh, most definitely.
Mental health and all that.
If Tony's problems start with schizophrenia, they're linked to and complicated by heroin. He's been on it throughout his adult life.
And I look at it like I'm self-medicating rather than just getting high. It just helps me to cope.
You say self-medication, Tony. Do you think possibly, from your point of view, your mental health is better with the drugs than it would have been without?
Definitely, yeah.
What might have happened if you hadn't?
I would have killed myself, you know. I felt pretty low.
But Tony's life has been dominated, overwhelmed by his schizophrenia and his addiction. It's cost him any chance of a career, a partner, kids, any sense of fulfillment. The drugs life is a solitary life.
How much time do you spend in this flat alone?
I live here, don't I? I sleep on my own, I wake up alone. I'm not good with women. I've got no self-confidence, so I'm just single. It's best policy for me.
You're very tough on yourself, mate. I mean, do you actually consider yourself a failure?
Yeah, definitely.
For Tony and Mike, Birkenhead is home. Just across the river from Liverpool, this place took the full force of the 1980s recession. As the shipyards failed, unemployment rose, and heroin and other drugs took hold. But this is a community which is fighting back. And here in Birkenhead, they come up with this concept of a recovery village. What is that, a recovery village? Well, there are already loads of different services here working to help people struggling with addiction. But now they're working together in much closer cooperation. So the rehab hub, the recovery cafe down here, and the place where groups meet for mutual support around the corner, they're all working in really close coordination to get people off the drink and off the drugs. All of this matters. The stats are grim. Deaths from alcohol and drugs are high, and they are rising. The worst figures ever recorded.
What about your recovery, Mike?
So recovery for me, as you know, is vital. Sobriety is the first thing I think of in the morning. Still,
that doesn't change.
Never will change that.
Nightingale's Cafe is run by Wirral Ways, and it's at the heart of the recovery village. For Mike, it's been a salvation, a stone's throw from the clubs and bars that were once central to his life.
This is where I used to drink. That place is the devil. The devil.
Honestly?
Honestly.
For everyone coming out of addiction, temptation can feel ever present.
Depends on what side of the street you want to be on, doesn't it?
When you look over there,
yeah.
Is there any temptation in that now?
No, there's disgust more than anything.
Really?
Really, and I'm just like, oh, because I sort of get like a flashback to like me being kicked out by a bouncer because I'm too pissed or something. And I'm just like, oh, what were you thinking?
Yeah, you're very positive.
You've got to be. Got to be.
Is everyone okay?
Yeah.
I want to know more about how it all works, how, with support, addiction can be overcome.
It makes me feel stronger when I don't give in to that temptation.
And upstairs in Nightingale's, I've been invited for a unique insight, a close-up look into the engine room of recovery. They call this the Academy.
It's showing you that you can enjoy life without substances. And yet in the height of addiction, you can't see that, can you?
Everyone here has chosen to step away from the chaos of addiction.
And how do you feel when you get feelings like that, but you don't pick your drink up? Do you feel stronger?
Every single time. Every single time.
They've committed to and completed a 3-step community rehab programme. It can take months or more, but they work through their problems with guidance and support.
It gives us a choice that we can be the best possible person that we want to be.
And today, Mike is joining the ranks of graduates.
Thank you very much, I really appreciate that.
He's come a long way since his darkest days.
My mental health was at rock bottom. I was taking anxiety and depression pills, and drinking and using on top of that.
The latest big report into recovery has found that across England, cuts mean services have been decimated. Deaths are rising. It's been harder to get good help. Even before that report dropped, in Birkenhead they knew that change was needed. Andrew Cass realised that the recovery village was essential.
It is organisations coming together as a collective on the Wirral to work with a kind of shared goal.
So we'll do this test for you today.
In the recovery village they have what's called a no wrong door policy. It works like this. Approach any door of any service and you will be welcomed. If it's the right place to help you, then fine. But if not, they'll refer you on or even physically take you to the other service best suited to what you need in that moment.
Feeling okay? No problems with this last time?
And so here, a heroin addict gets a specialist drug to reduce cravings.
Right, lovely, sharp scratch.
There's emotional support for the most vulnerable.
I know recently you've been through some form of assault. So is he actually out of prison now?
And even advice on housing.
It'll help you move, get you some money on your gas and electric to start you off. You will be safe, you will.
One of the main players here is Wirral Ways, a drug and alcohol service at the heart of the recovery village.
It's not just another person that's coming in. It's an individual, and that individual's got their own needs, their own self-defined goals, and we're there to support that person, to connect them with the communities, to reconnect them.
Tony is out and about. We're heading into Birkenhead Shopping Centre.
Do you want a hand with these ones as well?
Yes,
As soon as we get them out, it's going to start raining again. You know that, don't
probably
you?
will, won't it?
A street showcase for his photography.
I can be here for 2 or 3 hours and nobody even stops to look.
Which has been both a passion and a therapy.
You take the picture?
I do, yeah.
After setting up, a chance to catch up. When Tony says dabbling, what he means is using heroin.
So how have you been, mate?
Yeah, okay, I'm still dabbling, but I haven't been as good as this for years, you know. It's taken me a while to get off the cocaine.
Crack cocaine?
Yeah, I packed that in just nearly a year ago now. A year in September it'll be. Beginning of September last year I stopped.
So, off the crack, and that's a relief because that was the thing actually threatening Tony's life. But he is still on heroin. At least he's engaged though, getting support and help, long term.
All right?
Yeah, I'll hold this.
Yeah. And on you as well.
Tony's mental health has come a long way since the really bad times.
Spent about a decade in and out of psychiatric units all over the country.
Yeah,
I kept running away from Birkenhead, walking. I walked from here to Oxford.
Did you?
It took me 5 days and 6 days and 5 nights.
Crazy.
I learned to sleep in the daytime and walk at night because it's too cold to sleep at night, even in the summer.
Tony's told me plenty of times that he wants to get off all non-prescription drugs. And it would be great to see him get a fresh start away from the heroin and the stigma that goes with it.
I get called junkie and crackhead and all that. What can you say? Because it's true, I am. So you can't. It's not nice to be called it, but at the end of the day, that's what I am.
If there's abuse, there's also kindness.
You're a good man, I mean that.
Thank you. Take care. And you.
And compliments.
Seeing that's lovely, isn't it?
That's the nearest I've got to a sunset.
Yeah.
I think it does him good. He spends a lot of time in that flat on his own, and you know, when he's out on the street, he says, you know, a lot of people give him compliments, and I don't think people give him compliments about much in his life, so it's nice to hear them saying, yeah, nice photograph, nice picture. And I think it's good for him.
You don't have to spend much time with Tony to understand that his key worker, John, is a vitally important figure in his life.
When you was using the crack, the impact that it had on your mental health, how manic you went, everything used to get to you a hell of a lot more than what it does now.
It's a lot less frequent than it was, so it only happens every now.
The recovery village isn't just about intensive rehab programs. Sometimes it's a slower burn.
Now, you're happy in your own skin.
I've had to be, I've had no choice.
John knows that getting Tony stable and settled is a long-term commitment.
You just wonder where he's going with it all.
It all depends on what Tony wakes up on what day. And I think, obviously, he's got ADHD, he's got paranoid schizophrenia. Underlying, I think he's autistic as well, but he's never had that looked into.
John keeps across the medication that Tony gets from his psychiatric nurse for his schizophrenia. He also just gets him.
Just like to be doing that something that you shouldn't be doing, don't you?
John's just one small part of a drug support network here that makes up the recovery village. He helps guide Tony through the maze of services that includes the NHS, specialist recovery programs and voluntary organisations. And crucially, there's the mental health side, a central issue for so many here struggling with addiction. In the Wirral, 72% of the opiate users and 84% of the alcoholics who are in treatment here are also living with serious mental health conditions. Across Birkenhead, the Spider Project. It's been around for decades with activities and support to fill the gap when drugs and booze are history. Mal Bowen's been running the place since the beginning.
Could use people from Spider maybe, take people across from Spider to Compañeros.
And he's come to understand the vicious circle that links mental illness and substance abuse.
Pick any file you want of the membership. Every single file under the section around mental health had depression, anxiety, you know, all kinds of mental health issues. Every single one, literally every single one. And the need became apparent of people coming through the door more and more in crisis, more so than ever. We felt we need to do something about this, really.
So they did something. Mel and business development manager Caroline founded the Mental Health Crisis Cafe, Compañeros, now another service in Birkenhead's recovery village.
Well, if you need us in the meantime, you can always phone us back.
Its founding principle is that everyone and anyone who feels they're facing a mental health crisis is welcome here. No judgment, no stigma.
Stigma is a barrier to people coming through these doors in the first place, isn't it?
They've carried that judgment with them, and then they come in and they worry that they're going to have that, you know, that label's going to be continued. So it's really important to get it right when they first come through the door.
You are doing really well. You can't see it in yourself sometimes when you look in the mirror.
Joe Ackland is the hands-on manager at Compañeros.
As soon as they're out of that one-to-one room, we'll go in there, okay?
Now, it might look like a coffee bar, and it is.
It's actually a bit of scouse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that.
But look again. This place is also, essentially, an NHS-funded A&E for those in mental health crisis.
I feel like I can't do nothing right.
You do loads right, mate, don't you? You do amazing.
I'm not strong enough to fight. It's bad.
Can you keep yourself safe?
Thick.
You think so?
My head won't let me.
Well done, man. I'll go and get you a brew. Okay. Someone comes in here in crisis, the last thing we want them doing is waiting an hour or two to see someone. You know, at the moment, without this place, they'll be going to A&E, they'll be waiting, sitting in the waiting room for 6-7 hours. It's a safe place, they can come in, they can have a tea or coffee, but ultimately, if we want to go and see them, they need to feel like they're being heard and listened to.
Down there like that.
It's a big achievement to give anything cup. Like, I'm on 30 to 40 cups of tea a day.
Ask most people here and they will tell you that this link between mental health and substance abuse is real. For Dude, it was the booze.
Whiskey, brandy, wine, lager, vodka, everything, do you know what I mean? Anything to get my hands on, really.
That was 5 years, 6 months and 4 days ago, and counting. Dude's been off the drink since then. Sometimes he's strong enough to volunteer and make the coffees, support others in crisis, but he's still working on his own recovery.
I suffer a lot with PTSD and I was self-harming and I've had nightmares and stuff like that. I don't sleep very well. I get help from these.
But there's stuff in your past that has been difficult.
Yeah, very.
And then there's booze, and now
Aye.
there's recovery.
Now there's recovery, yeah. Which is hard, but I think it's hard for anybody, do you know what I mean? But there's nothing easy about it.
Thank you for talking to us.
Hey, thank you, man. It's good for the gaff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okie dokie.
Just keep yourself safe and obviously try and get back to us if you can, alright?
I was drinking every single night. I came here as a 42-year-old grown man who just didn't know where to go.
Rob is another who arrived here in crisis. For Joe and his team, it's all about making that first crucial connection, especially with men who can find it hard to ask for help.
Parts of my family don't understand, or parts of my circle of friends don't understand how ill I was. Do you know what I mean? How close I was. Do you know what I mean? And this place did. They got it. These understood when I'm sat at home crying in the shower on my own. These get it.
And something this simple can save lives. Save lives. You really believe that, don't you?
I know it. Living proof. I'm here, aren't I? If this wasn't here, I wouldn't be. It's that simple. You know, when you keep trying to do a job search, I said, I've got one in there.
Listen, mate, one's in the pipeline, just chill out.
Yeah.
The human touch.
Right.
All right, Sam, take it easy, mate. See ya.
Important stuff.
Can I check your saturation, the oxygen levels?
Tony is another one having a big day.
Have you gained some weight, Tony?
No.
Last time.
Well, maybe a little bit.
His regular 6-month checkup with the doctor.
How have things been, Tony, since we last met?
Yeah, all right. Still very lonely and...
Dr. Shah from Wirral Ways prescribes his methadone and amphetamines. Tony says they keep him stable.
There is no crack cocaine?
No, I packed that in a year ago, doctor.
The methadone and amphetamine, they are prescribed by us?
Yes, yeah.
The blood tests are looking pretty good. Tony's been preparing for more than a week. He's managed to stay off the heroin, and it's not been easy.
I like being straight. When I gave the pot and everything, I gave up smoking weed, everything I stopped. And it felt good to be straight and have a clear head. But at the same time, everything else in my life all came into focus. But it was murder. It was horrible.
Bottom line, things have gone okay. Tony's support package continues unchanged. And for him, that means stability. The doctor wants him off the heroin, but there's not much progress on that.
There's people there that are struggling with their mental health and not being able to have that day-to-day contact or even that contact.
I'm back with Mike. None of this recovery stuff is easy, but at least he's getting support here at Nightingale's and at home too.
I've got like a really good network of support around me, and Hannah being one of them.
Well, I was just going to bring us on to
that.
And here's Hannah, your partner.
Yeah.
How's Mike been? Have you noticed him that he's been a bit stressed out, or has he been okay?
Yeah, he's been stressed out, but it's you know, it's like bound to happen, isn't it, with what's going on in the situation? But he's been amazing. He's still amazing, and he's still doing amazing. And it's not making him go back to what he was, but he's still going forward and still doing everything he can. So yeah. he's okay. Yeah.
So it's the repetitive cycle. It's only when we're out of that madness that we can actually recognise that.
I can feel Mike growing in confidence. He's volunteering here, doing peer-to-peer support.
There's no shame in admitting you have a problem with drugs and or alcohol. I think the shame is when you don't admit you've got a problem.
Mike sharing his story in a presentation.
The last time I was arrested was in February 2020. This was a couple of weeks before I started with Willow Waves.
This project came about with Mike for a 12-week process, looking at how written exercises can tell our story of addiction and how important it is to society and what society needs to learn about addiction and to raise awareness.
Kyra is a professional, but you know, Mike's not bad at this either.
I was in denial for a long time, and then I just sort of had like a light bulb moment that I didn't want to be this person no more.
Carefully watching Mike's progress is Dave Dunn.
I'm suffering a depression, or I'm drinking the depressants. I don't feel like I'm thinking to help me with my depression.
Himself a recovered alcoholic.
It's a long journey. Look, I'm 23 years in recovery. I believe I'm in recovery, you know, and I always will be. I haven't beat it. I haven't picked up a drink for 23 years. Next Tuesday, 23 years ago was the last time I had a drink.
So you measure it to the day?
Absolutely, yeah.
There are plenty in Birkenhead who regard Dave as a lifesaver. He's been there, done it.
I think it's always nice to hold on to where I was and to what I've got now.
He commands respect because he cares for people like Mike.
It was obvious he was a different person then. He was in pain, you could see it. He couldn't necessarily look you in the eyes, you know. It was kind of talking to you, head down, you know. Once he started putting these things in place and getting hold of this and making those changes, you know, he started to lift his head up, he started to look at you while he was talking to you. He started to like himself more. He didn't like himself. You know, a lot of people who come to these doors don't.
Mike's volunteering hasn't gone unnoticed, and guess what? He's got the chance of a job here at the Recovery Cafe.
We're at the cafe again, but you haven't dressed like that for a cup of tea, have you?
No.
What's going on?
I've got a job interview. Yes, so for a recovery coordinator, recovery support coordinator for the non-opiates team. It's a maternity leave position. I didn't get to where I am overnight. Yeah. And I can tell you that right now, and I didn't do it, you know, without no sweats, cries, or, you know, heartache. Yeah. So yeah, excited, nervous, but give it my all, really.
You all right, Tone?
Not too bad.
A Sunday afternoon in September.
I'm interrupting your lunch.
No, just a snack. When I look at the Feynman diagram, the arrow is going back in time. Why is that?
Well, did you find
How does that work? Does it go back in time from the future?
Often when I catch up with Tony, he seems to be having a good day. He seems to like the company.
They describe the universe, you know, the standard model starts at that period of time, 10 to the minus 43 seconds.
And he enjoys bamboozling me with quantum physics and other deep science stuff.
There's just a tiny bit of gap between that and absolute zero.
But what I don't get to see is the everyday hard grind of his life. Sometimes when he's having a moment, he sends an email.
Tony.
Go on, read my...
I'm looking forward to dying.
Oh God, please.
I'm done with this world, the wars everywhere, religion causing more problems than it solves.
Yeah, I remember saying that.
Right? Yeah. There's no such thing as God. There is no such place as heaven or hell.
That's true.
No one cares what will happen to me. They just want me off drugs. I don't think there is much to say except I will try to stay off drugs from now on, but to the detriment of my life. So you've told me that before. You take drugs because you like taking them, Tony.
It made me feel better than the feeling I get when I'm straight. With all the things that's gone on in my life, you know.
But the worst thing about this, the worst thing, you say, someone will find me. I can't put my neighbours through the ordeal of seeing a dead body. So I can't even end myself without doing harm to others.
That's right.
I'm going to bed now. I cannot stop crying.
Yeah, I remember. There's the deep depressions I get in. That's what's wrong with me. Yeah.
Do you feel suicidal?
No, not at the moment.
But you have your moments, don't you?
That's how I felt on that night. Sometimes it's hard. All your life becomes is around taking drugs. And you don't know anything else.
Every time I talk to you, I think you are 100% honest with me.
I feel
your
ashamed.
truth, your truth
feel
today,
ashamed.
Tone, is not necessarily the same as your truth tomorrow.
No,
Things
it isn't.
change.
Things change for me. You know, you've caught me in melancholy attitude, and that shocked me. I'm mentally ill, and that's a fact, and I wouldn't deny it. I'm good at looking normal and being normal, but at the base level, I'm just, you know, I struggle to hang on to reality sometimes.
I know you're guiding me on the path I am on, and I hope you are proud. I love you so much. You are sorely missed.
Same Sunday afternoon, and across Birkenhead. It's an important day for Mike.
Was she poorly in this house for a long time?
She never let her get it down. It was only...
The last 2 months, wasn't it?
2 months, I was going to say, about 8 weeks, yeah. She was, and then there was a hospital bed here.
Mike's mum would have been 68 today. She had secondary breast cancer, and she died at home 5 years ago. A massive blow for a young man.
That one's for my dad, for my mum, and then that one's for me and my sister, and my mum.
Today, like every year, Mike and his dad Kevin are together to mark Margaret's birthday and visit her grave.
It's a while since I've been there, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't like going, do you?
I find it difficult to go, so...
Of course you do.
Margaret was a big Tranmere Rovers fan, a dog lover, a dedicated mum with a passion for family life. For Mike, it's a time of sadness, of course, and also some regret.
Knew it was coming, however, I don't think I was probably the best person to be around when that happened, because I was in the madness.
After that's done, then we'll peel off.
That was a photograph taken a few months before your mum died, wasn't it?
It's a lovely picture.
Believe it or not, I was actually still in active addiction there.
Were you?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because I'm looking at myself and I know what I wore that night, and I remember that night I got in trouble.
That same night?
actual night, yeah.
Mike was still drinking on the day his mum died.
We would have had a drink in that picture, yeah, mate, yeah.
When you look at that, what goes through your mind?
Heartache.
What was your lifestyle then?
Drinking and using.
Just all the time?
All the time, yeah. Any opportunity. I had a bad day at work at the pub.
Because when you say you'd have had a drink, then it's because you'd have always had a drink, probably.
Yeah. Well, that was just another excuse to drink, wasn't it? In hindsight.
And I still drink now, don't I, mate?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Would you say that you've got a problem, or...?
Well, I don't know really. I suppose in a way I have, because I do like drink, don't I? So yeah, I suppose I have got a problem with it.
Lockdown was hard for you though, wasn't it?
Lockdown was very hard, yeah.
It's brave of Kevin to say that he's had his own struggles with the drink, but through it all, I can tell he's really proud of his son.
He's done marvellous. He really has done marvellous.
Mike is doing well, but his dad's drinking can be, well, less than helpful.
I put all my energy into finding how my dad is as an individual when he's sober to when he's drunk. I was just struggling because his friends stayed and they were drinking for like 4 or 5 days, and then there was like drink in the kitchen on the side and stuff, and I just asked him to pop it away. But obviously once you've had a few, you sort of forget, and he forgets at the best of times. So my recovery took like a backstep for like 2 weeks. That was not really good for me. So it was about realising I'm 18 months sober and clean, but I need to still be doing that recovery.
I think you've told me in the past, mate, you think you always will be vulnerable to stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to put the flowers in that pot, Dad, yeah. There you go. Spot on.
Off to the cemetery and a chat with Margaret.
Happy birthday, Mum.
Happy birthday.
Not too sure what's going on with the balloons, but yeah.
Miss you loads, love. Miss you loads.
Mike has some good news to share.
Got a job now, Mum. I've been up for a while, have I? So yeah, got a job. Going to be helping other people, as well as keeping myself sober and clean. She's always there, Dad. You alright?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate, yeah.
I know you've had a tough time, haven't you? How's he been?
He has been a bit in on himself and stuff, but he got out of a routine. Then that took you like a step back, didn't it, from not sticking to a routine?
Yeah.
But he's been good though. You've identified it, haven't you?
Yeah.
And corrected it, so yeah.
Have you been low, Mike?
Yeah, I've had moments of depression, I've had moments of being down, and that can creep up at any time. I could be having the greatest day, and then something that happens is just like, oh, what if I could do that? Or what if I could have a drink? And it's just the first like 30 seconds, but then it's about realising that, whoa, back to reality sort of thing, and then boom, you know where you need to be.
Companeros, the coffee shop, which is also Birkenhead's mental health crisis centre.
So when people just can't eat something to fidget with, they're there.
It can help, can't it?
It really can, it really can.
I'm meeting Roxy.
I had come straight from A&E. I hadn't had a positive experience there. I had been discharged after quite a serious overdose. I'd spent in a couple of days in hospital.
Listening to Roxy and others here,
Do you want to come upstairs, mate?
Go on.
it feels like conventional mental health services are stretched to breaking point. And I'm thinking that's why the NHS has decided to fund this place. Already in its first 6 months, Companeros has seen more than 300 people.
This is probably the singularly most substantial help that I've had my whole life, and it's not clinical. It's not, okay, this is how you deal with your problems. It's like, okay, how can we guide you through it? How, setting small goals that might not even seem like a goal. I don't think I would have made it past that night of being in A&E for a second time without having this place. I don't think I'd survive the weeks after. I don't think I would have survived the family issues. I don't think I would have survived my own mind. When you've got chronic illnesses, like people would say, oh, you need to get out more. It's like, where do I go though? This place is just wonderful. It really is. It's fantastic.
How are you doing after yesterday's conversation?
It did calm things down.
Yeah.
Not everyone I've met here has addiction issues, but every day at Companeros brings new evidence of the link between mental health and substance abuse. This place is making a difference.
I'm so proud to be managing a service like this that is making such an amazing impact on people's lives. People coming here if they've got a drink issue, rather than drinking, they'll be coming here. They're coming here rather than self-harming. This is a place where people can go and feel safe and be heard. And I just wish that they were all over the country, to be honest.
Hello! Michael, you've got a new home.
We have.
It's beginning to feel like Mike is really getting somewhere.
How long have you been in, Mike?
Moved in about 2.5 weeks ago.
He and Hannah have moved in together, moved into a new place.
That's our bathroom.
It's all looking good.
Well, it's not that long, but lots changed. You've turned things around pretty dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, being able to be in a place where I can help people that, like myself, when I was, it's a really privileged position. So many clients and just so many people wanting support, seeking out a need for help.
Are you happy?
Extremely. I am putting my life where it was, like, just when I met you. Black and white, innit, really? Because I was drinking and using. I know there was a lot of conflict and stuff like that, but when I went into recovery, I knew what I wanted out of it. And I feel like I'm still getting something out of it now, being able to work in that field. So yeah, I'm extremely happy. What we're going to do is we're sanding down the decking. I'm going to grey.
They're planning a future. Mike is rebuilding his relationship with his little boy, hoping that soon he will join Hannah's son here for overnight stays, making a proper family home. Around at Tony's, Christmas doesn't change much.
All I want to do is top up my meter.
The constants in his life: drugs,
How do I get my electric?
schizophrenia,
Exasperating, isn't it?
and loneliness.
How's your self-esteem, Tone?
My self-esteem's quite low because I don't have a partner. And your manliness reduces. And I'm incomplete because of that, and I have been all my life. And it's just something I've had to learn to live with, that I'm not going to have a partner, ever. It's all you can do in life, is just smile and grin and bear it. This is my sister's wedding.
Tony often tells me about his family, and now he's found some old cine films.
That's my sister. So I won't be born then. She was 10 when I was born.
I can't help thinking that things could have been really different for him. And Tony says his sister and 2 brothers have had successful, fulfilling lives.
The observation I would make is you are so talented and so intelligent, that's manifestly true, that somewhere in society the contribution that you could be making with all your skills and talents is considerable.
It's not. I can sound clever and all that, but you give me a job and I wouldn't be able to do a job. I'm so clumsy. I'll knock things over, I'll spill things, I'll drop things, I'll break things. Day after day, it doesn't stop. I'm incredibly clumsy. I couldn't hold a job somewhere.
It's March, and Andrew is welcoming a VIP visitor to Birkenhead.
The shipbuilding was closing, young people didn't see a future. Literally Wirral and some of the estates in Birkenhead were the first places where the heroin epidemic started.
We've been telling Dame Carol Black, the government's chief drug advisor, about the recovery village.
This is our cafe.
This is your cafe?
Yeah.
And she's asked to come and see it.
Nice to meet you.
Very welcome.
Thank you. So,
This place, it's been called the beating heart of the recovery community in Birkenhead and the Wirral.
She has written the latest major report on addiction and recovery services in England.
there are very good areas of practice, but actually what I found was a broken service. You know, I didn't find good, I found bad, if you want to, you know.
She wants improvements, a more joined-up approach.
How many people can you take at once?
As many as you can fit in the door. We don't have a limit.
Maybe something like we're seeing here.
We've been working with people who are very often amongst the most marginalised in our communities, who come in broken and who leave healed.
Dame Carol asked the government for £1 billion to change things. She got 780 million. The most money recovery services have seen in a generation. And it's just now starting to arrive where it's most needed, in the worst affected areas.
If you get people into good treatment and good recovery programs, we know from international research, murders go down, acquisitive crime goes down, and less people go to prison.
The challenge is to rebuild a broken system, not with more of the same, but with new ideas and innovation.
She came through mental health services via GP.
Nightingales then is a good example of good practice.
They're not just people that ring you up on the phone and then just totally ignore you. I mean, I've come.
For Dame Carol, it's all about treating people as individuals, treating their addiction as a chronic health condition, which needs long-term support.
I don't believe you should ever let anybody go. It is not a measure of success to discharge somebody from an addiction service because it's a chronic condition. Well, I'm very excited because I've actually seen a variety of things, not just treatment. I've seen a real attempt at recovery, which is so important.
Dame Carol's report says that peer-to-peer support is a vital part of successful recovery services.
You're going to cut a circle around the base.
This is the Spider Project, another part of the recovery village. It's been around for decades.
We're going to do an improvisation between the two of you.
No, I don't mind grafting, but it's nice to do it with some help.
Activities and classes to fill the void when drugs and alcohol are history.
Okay. Be patient.
You come out of addiction, it leaves a big gap in your life. Yeah. And it's about filling that gap with positive stuff.
You do feel very alone. You feel like you're the only one in the world that it's actually happened to.
A lot of what they do here is peer-to-peer support. Many volunteers and staff have lived through addiction and are now helping others. Jennifer works as a coordinator.
I'm in recovery myself, I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
I've been in that pain as well, I've been in that desperation. If I'm not constantly working on my recovery, I could be back there in an instant. Even if someone is still drinking or using, we're not just going to kick them out. What we're going to do is make sure that they get the necessary help, move them on, whether it be to Wirral Ways or whether it's to compañeros, just giving people hope that they're no longer alone.
You remember when you were in that position where you'd isolated yourself. It's good to give something back.
Once you printed it worked out okay. Yeah.
This is community self-help.
Wouldn't be where I am now if I'd not had peers around me, if I'd not had people who were so willing to share their experience, their knowledge, and make me feel like I wasn't alone. And it can be a matter of life and death, can't it?
You see that time and time again. It's pretty staggering how many people who've lived through the crisis then want to pass their experience and their help on to others. It's really good to see.
Tony's on the move.
Oh, okay. I'll probably have to walk up.
This is different, and I haven't seen him like this before. He's edgy, and he's on a mission. Back at the flat, it's clear where he's been and what he's brought home. I wasn't expecting this.
So Tony, you got a cup of tea, a bit of cake, and some heroin.
And some heroin.
Not the average afternoon break.
No, not at all. Give me a moment. I've been looking forward to getting high.
You don't mind me seeing you doing it?
No, not in the slightest. I'm not ashamed of it. If I was ashamed of it, I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a means to an end.
What's the end?
Getting my brain where it needs to be.
Which is?
Peaceful and undisturbed by all thoughts of trouble and schizophrenia.
This was going to be my last day with Tony. I had some more questions for him, but he's pretty high now and distracted, and I think I'll have to wait. For Mike, Dame Carol's visit here is a unique opportunity.
Michael introduced himself. He's been with us through service, through volunteering, through the Discovery Academy.
It's not every day that a lad from Birkenhead gets to tell his story in person to the government's most important drugs advisor.
It's my 2-year birthday today. I'm actually 2 years clean and sober today. I've got a real passion for this and I really want to help people.
Was your problem drugs or alcohol?
Both. So alcohol and drugs, so they both come hand in hand for me. They saved my life, and then from volunteering I applied for the job and now I'm a recovery coordinator for the non-opiate team.
Fantastic. That makes me very happy.
Next morning, back at Tony's, and he's ready for my questions.
Decades into a drug habit, how come you are still alive?
Good question. It's a lottery. Life is a lottery. It's probability. I mean, it's only luck that I'm still here.
You know it's dangerous. You know that.
Of course I do. Yeah. It could kill me. It could kill me.
This was going to be the year that Tony got off all illegal drugs. It hasn't happened. But he's stayed off the crack cocaine. His mental health is looking pretty good.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like John and the doctors and the nurses that have looked after me over the years. And I appreciate it. I'd like to thank them anyway for all the effort they put in. You know, I haven't been the easiest of patients to deal with because of my illness.
It all leaves me thinking that success and recovery are relative and different for anyone with an addiction.
Tony, or something like Tony, what does success actually look like?
So his mental health's better, and I think for him, as long as he's not using all day, every day, he's not selling any of his belongings, his life isn't unravelling in front of him, I think he's sustaining his life the way it is now. And not only that, he seems a bit more happier in his life now.
I don't know what people think about me when they see these clips, but I'm okay. I won't rob you. You're safe with me. Regardless of being paranoid schizophrenic, you're not in any immediate danger. I'll just put it that way.
I've learned so much from Tony. These labels, drug addict, schizophrenic, don't describe the intelligent, perceptive, vulnerable person that I've come to know. As for Mike, I've seen incredible progress, a year in which he stayed off the drink and drugs.
I'm extremely happy and I'm not depressed. There's a lot of things that alcohol and drugs strip me of, but there's a lot of things now that I am rebuilding.
He started a career, moved into a new home with Hannah, and is rebuilding his relationship with his son. Mike is proof that things can change, that there can be life after addiction.
So having that support network that I have been offered is crucial to keeping me on my recovery, and it gives me the drive to carry on moving forward on my sobriety. I accepted I had a problem, and this is my story. Thank you.
If you've been affected by any of the issues in this film, you can get advice and support at bbc.co.uk/actionline.